This is Short Hammer. It is the 8th of May, 2021. And this is Trade. Well, let's see here. 1 second. Let me adjust a little bit more. All righty. Last week was amazing. Let's see where to start. MNQ. So looking at the Qs, right? If we let's go back on our days, scroll back, 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 back. Not that far back. So if we look at the just how the week went, right? Um you did see this drop and we and okay, look at our past videos and look at our lines and our levels because I have gotten messages where people are saying, hey, you know, you keep going over the same lines and setups and it's the same lines and setups, but guess what? It works. And one of the worst things you can do, in my opinion, in trading is consistently change your strategy because almost every strategy works. And I'm not talking about, oh, just buy this or buy that, or like not the crazy strategies, but if you use pivots work 100%. Gan lines work 100%. Wolf wave trade, like all these things work, right? But the X factor in every strategy, whether you're buying off the EMAs, the 20 crosses, the this, or if off the 50 and the retrace on the daily to the 20 or the oscillate, whatever the strategy is, the one X factor that no strategy can account for is human emotion. Your emotions are what will determine if you are successful or not in trading. If you follow the strategy, almost any strategy, and manage your risk, the chances of you being successful go up exponentially. And that's really the people say the secret to trading is this. No, the secret to trading is you. Figure out your own psychology. Find a strategy that fits your psychology, whether that be swing trading, whether that be day trading, whether that be selling, whether if selling is your thing and you don't have enough to be able to sell naked options, then maybe you have to sell cover. Like you have so many ways to do things, no matter your account size. That's irrelevant. Off my tangent. Done. Let's get it done. I got so much to do today. So bottom line, this retraceful line that we already had drawn. Look at previous videos, line was there, right? So you say, okay, so this touches this line. So every line that touches, I should buy. No, you shouldn't buy on the touch of every line, assuming that the buyers will step in. What you do though, let's break this down to the 1 hour, right? I'm not even going to get deep into this. This is going to be super not deep. So let's say you're watching all this, right? You go back. Okay, you're watching all this and you see the selling. And so you're like, okay, I should buy here. Why would you buy? If you're just looking at the 1 hour candles, this is bearish, right? You should, not should, like it's what you're supposed to do. But once you see these lowers here, can this buy back up? It can. Once this breaks, this failure down, short, stop above the high of the next candle, and we extend to the next level. That's one way to go about it, right? Other people do it differently, right? They would be short on the like for me, I don't like to short breakdowns. I like to short back tests. So I would be looking at this and I would be short and I would wait for this to go bullish above the line and bullish above the line on a lower time frame or lower time frame. I'd be out of this, right? So I'd be watching this on like a 5-minute chart. So this setup right here, I'd be looking for either the reversal to the upside or looking for the continuation to the downside, but on a shorter time frame. And I'll be watching the candles and the volume. I'll be watching all of that for my entry. Like that's what I'd look for, right? Because to me, this just moves too much. And so this dip here, would you buy here when this touches? Nope. You haven't seen the buyer step in. Would you buy here? Nope. Not yet. Now, what you could do, right, is you, and some people do this. Let me not get into all this. I'm going to keep it light. I'm not going to get into all this because it's not going to be like a 4-hour or 3-hour thing. So, so once you see this hits, next candle is green, right? All right, cool. Now, the next green candle, what you can choose to do, this is an option, right? You can choose to get long on the next candle or get long on, get long on the next candle if you want to, depending on your time frame. And your stop will be here, a break below the previous swing low, right? Now, if you're using, it depends on what you're using, right? Now, depending on the size of your account, you could use the MES and perfect the strategy. And then you can scale up to 5 contracts, 10 contracts, 15 contracts, 20 contracts, 30 contracts. Some people prefer the Qs, right? But I like to be able to scale in and scale out. So I prefer the MES because with my psychology and my emotions, this makes it easier for me to manage the trade. I don't like to see a ton of red on my screen. That's my psychology that I've figured out for me. Some people don't care. I have a buddy being the Qs. He'll be down 15,000. He doesn't care. That it doesn't bother him. He doesn't blink. He doesn't care. For me, I don't like to see too much red on my screen. So I like my levels. I like things to be nice and crisp. I like my entries to be crisp. I'd rather miss a play than, jump the gun, be in and, be down on that. So not gonna get into all that. Bottom line, this area, right? We reversed, bought back to the upside. So nice trade, point to point. Not entry here, but entry once you see this flip bullish, right? And if you wanted to wait for the true break here, and you wanted to get long on the 1 hour when you saw this close, that's up to you. Whatever you want to do, everyone has a different way, right? Back under, rejection, see the upper wicks, right back to this 13,388 level. Buyer stepped in again, and up we went, right through this level and up, right? 13,757. Now, these lines work. The strategy that you use to execute on this based on your emotions and based on your psychology and based on your risk tolerance, sort of where your risk is, how you manage your risk. That's what's important. What's not important is, oh, this is the line I got to buy here, or it touched the 20, I'm going to buy there, or it touched the 50 or the 34 or the comma. Like, all those are just different ways. You have to figure out your own psychology. Don't listen to what anybody's telling you about that you have to buy here, you have to sell there, or don't listen to any of that. Figure out your psychology. Where's your comfort zone? And that's what you do. If you don't like to be down $10,000, don't be down $10,000. If you don't like to be, if this is running here and you're up 500, 400, like 500 or 1,000 or 4,000, you don't have to wait for it to get here. Get out, scale out, keep a little bit in if you want to, right? Leave the rest at like, hey, if it breaks back below here, then I'll exit. You don't have to hold for the full move. Like, you just take out a portion, 75%, 80%, whatever you feel comfortable with, and leave the rest to run with the stop setup, right? That's all you need. So that's it. I'm off my tangent. I apologize, but I had some people hit me up that they had green trades go red, and they got trampled on some of these moves, and it's because they're listening to other information outside of their own psychology and their own specific strategy. And if it was one person, I wouldn't have, but it's a few people, right? And they were a little bit hurt about it. I'm just trade how you feel comfortable. Don't let anyone make you feel guilty, or feel bad about the way that you trade. The goal is find a successful strategy that works for you. Period. That's the whole goal. If you can figure that and get a repeatable process, you're going to last long in the game, right? That's all that matters. So, done with all that, main points. So, watch these levels, right? So, right now we pushed up into the 200, which is not a matter of whatever line it is, but we saw some rejection, right? We couldn't get bullish above this level here, this 13,815, 13,813. It can get bullish above that, right? If you look all the way over here, you see these bottoms, lower candles here. That's right about the same area where we're seeing the struggle trying to get through that. And we can go higher time frame, which I'll do now. I'm not going to be going through into all that about the trends and all that stuff. Really not going to get into that today. But what you'll see is this candle structure here, right? And you should wherever you see the candle structure, that means buyers and sellers. They had a disagreement, and we spent quite a bit of time there. And so now what are we watching for? Well, this trend is still holding. So this pullback here, we could buy up. But look at these two long wicks on the 4-hour. What's that tell you? That above these 13,750s, the buyers aren't that interested to hold this for a longer term to push it into 13,873, right? Now, when we pull back down here into this trend around 13,667-ish, what if the buyers may be interested here and pushes back up? At some point, we may break or we can sell through. We'll see how this works out. But this is an interesting thing. So what will I be watching for going into next week? Okay. One of two things. I either want to buy back over 13,757, and I'll be careful if I'm long this, if I see bullish action above this, because I'm going to watch these upper wicks. But if we break above the 13,18s, that means 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, we break above that, I'm looking for an extension up into 13,873. That's what I'll be watching for, right? And what we do there will be interesting. Maybe we push through, maybe we reject a little bit and pull back. The other thing I'll be watching for is, do we pull back below 13,688, right? Is that is that a possibility? So if we pull back below the 13,688, I'm going to be watching to see if we hold this area here, the 13,660s period. If we sell through that, then I'll be watching probably for a short setup to get back down the other way near the 13,563 area. And when I say that, I have different things that I'm using intraday to be able to grab 20 point, 15 point moves on the Qs, 30 point moves on the Qs, where I'm in and I'm out. And the chances of me holding something that's going to move 100, 200 points, I'm already scaled out. So whatever is left in there is I'll get at whatever supply demand levels I have intraday when I utilize the pivots and utilize my other strategies and other things that I use to sort of help me sort of gauge at that time where the market's going for that specific period of time and my stops and everything else. Then I'll take it. Like, I may get 50 points, I might get 100, but the chances of me just sitting in there and thinking it's going to go 300, 400 points, I'm already exiting out, right? So for me, I use a 1-to-1 plus strategy. So I have a stop. Wherever I have my stop, when I move the length of that stop right in my direction, so profit for me, then I move my stop, and then everything above that, I move my stop in increments. So if there's some sort of flash, whatever, I'll get stopped out, but I already have locked in my profits. So for me, I look for 5 good trades per day on the Qs. 5 good trades per day. That's all I need. And for me, that's my thing. So if the day is not going well, then after those 5 trades, then I'll be out, right? If the day is going well, then like all I need are 3 of those trades to work in a day, and that works out great. And what's funny is sometimes if just 2 of those trades work out, if they truly run, it makes up for the 3 that actually didn't go well. And that's what you want to find, is a strategy that allows you to be wrong, but not for you to consistent. Like if you're wrong, like if you have a strategy, right, that you have to hit 70% to be profitable. You don't want that. If you have a strategy that if you're right 40% of the times and you're able to make good profits, that's a strategy that you can use over the long term. It's not being right every single time. You almost like want to be like a baseball player. If you could hit 250, 300, you're good, right? So 30, 40% of the times, if you're right and you can be profitable, that type of strategy you can use for a long period of time and you'll be okay. And a lot of times you'll be right more than that. Like when I use the pivot strategy, it's closer to 80%, right? On a lot of those setups. But that 80% is not just based on there's a pivot there. So I do this at the pivot, do that at the pivot. It's proper utilization of the strategy and also utilizing your psychology, understanding yourself. And hey, if I can't take drawdowns, then I don't just buy here. I'm not just going to try to catch a falling knife. Oh, I'm just going to buy here because it's low and last. No, you wait. Depending upon your psychology, some people are more risky. They could take a larger drawdown so they can buy an average as it drops and exit on the pop. Some people that's it. Just every person has different risk tolerance. So that's it. Off my soapbox. So next week, watch those levels that I mentioned. If we push up above the 13.18s, then watch and see if we can get bullish into 13.873 and see if we gap up. If we gap down, then watch below the 13.660s. That's an interesting level. 13.688 is also a level, but I'll watch for a push down through the 13.660s and see what happens there if the buyers step in, if we get there, right? I'm really excited to see where we go Sunday, how we open, and then which way we take the market, right? We'll see how it goes, but I'm definitely very excited. Can't wait till next week. Really loving the cues. Let me go over to the Russ. And we're about to pick the pace up. That's way too much. I have so much to do today. Okay. So if you're watching this push up here, are we expecting this to get into 2290s? That's possible, right? But what I'll be watching for, if this is me, drop this down to the 1 hour and look at this, right? On the 1 hour, look how we need to break above here. This is what 2270s. We need to get above the 2270s, right? Above the 2270s, it gives us room to right about 2281. You can see this here, the rejections here into this here. Look at all these upper wicks, 2283s, 2280s, a lot of upper wicks, right? So be careful. If I'm watching the Russ, I'm watching those levels because I see all these upper wicks, areas where the buyers weren't, super excited. So we'll see on the way back up as we're going sideways right around this area here, and we're sort of indecisive on if we're going to push further, sort of time frame based, right? Of course, we're going to push further at some point, but we'll see. We want closes above this area, this 2270s. We want bullish above there and an extension into the 80s, potentially to the 2290s. But watch these upper wicks. That's interesting. Just watch these areas and see 2280s. Watch the 2280s if we push here, right? Just be careful of the 2280s and see if we can push through there and get extension to the 2290s. That's what I'll be watching for. If we go down, then you see these lower areas here where we tested lower 2260s and bought back up. This range, like even though we see these extensions here from the 2230s here, we see this little tap here and the extension. I don't like sort of. Let me move this up to the 4 hour. That's 1 hour. Looks springy. We'll see, but you definitely want this to get above the 22 into the 2270s, and then I'll watch the 2280s and see if we're able to sort of squeeze through there. We'll see what we get. Got some wicks here. You can see on the 4 hour, but we'll see. I don't really trade the Russ much, but I'd watch those levels. And to the downside, we're at 2247. I would not trade this in any of this middle area, me personally. I'll wait for this to touch the 2290s and see what happens. And if we're bullish above, then I'll take this 2301. If we drop, I'd watch the 2240s and see if the buyers step in and reverse it back to the upside. Then I'll hop in, right? And for me, I'll ride this from here if we're going back up and look to exit at this candle structure here around the 2250s. That's what I'll be looking for on this on the Russ. But I prefer the Qs just because of the range of the Qs. I really like how the Qs move a lot. That's just my personal preference. Everyone has a preference, but that's my personal preference. MES, We'll see if this little glass ceiling pops. And if we go higher, we'll see how that plays out. If we retrace to the 4203 previous highs, we'll see if the buyers do step in. If the buyers do not step in, watch for a dip through here into the 4160s. We'll see how all this plays out heading into next week. There's a lot of buzz about monetary policy. That's all well and good if you're investing. But as a trader, I just want to see what we have going on each day. And each day, I want to see sort of setups that give me range and just predictable range setups, whatever that is. I just want an extension. If we're going to be range bound, that's fine. If we're going to be breaking out, that's fine. If we're going to be breaking down, that's fine. I just want consistent candle structure and volume that gives me some sort of a clue as to which way we're going and how far it's going to go, right? That's all I really want. So I'll be watching this next week to see if we can get above the, what's this area here? 4230s. We'll see how that works out, but I'll keep an eye out for a sell back into the 4203. And if we pull back to here, I'm not immediately long. I'm looking for something to look a little bit like, let's see, like this, right? Perfect. This drops into the 4110s and we go sideways, test it again, don't break through, test it again, don't break. So anywhere in here, you can choose to get long with a break of the previous lows as your exit, right? A break below 4110. So me, I'd have probably a 10-point stop on this bad boy, a 10-point stop below the previous lows, and that'll be my stop on this if I got in. And then you'd be riding this back up once it went, right? But sometimes it does that and it does not hold. For example, if I can find a good example, not too many. Most of these, when you see it, double, triple bottom, in a zone, usually that's just the sellers are getting out and the buyers are stepping in. And if it's going the other way, the buyers are getting out and the sellers are getting in. The wicks will tell you that, right? There's disagreement on price. That's why you see those wicks. So interesting. So watch the 4203s, watch 4160s and 4142s. These areas, if we pull back for buyers to step in, a pop above this, the 4230s, we'll see if we get to squeeze to the next level. This for me, being it's up here at those highs, I have to use pivots because I don't have retracement trader. I don't have anything there. So that's interesting. Let's keep it moving. Time to pick up the pace. Amazon did what we expected, right? Gonna beat, gonna run. But look at this, right? We got the push, this wick up here, but we couldn't see any bullish continuation above the 3550s. So we're selling back to the downside, right? And if you watch these lines, so we cut through here like butter, then we sort of hovered above the 3370s, then dropped down again. 3260s, tried to catch a bid, pull back into the 3340s, rejected back down again. So what we're going to watch for, is this area here, right? Remember the previous channel we were in for quite some time? This 3220s by 3080s, right? On Amazon. This is the channel. We'll see if we get back down here or if their hold is bullish above that, right? We'll see. But nice push here. And if we hold the 3260s on this next test, then we might get an extension to 3340s. That'd be interesting on Amazon. So let's see if I'm watching this. Yeah, I'd watch for reversal off 3260. If we drop below that, then watch out for the 3220s. And if we don't get a bounce there and we get inside here, 3190s is the next area. If we pull inside there, then it's 3142. Then below that, 3080s. If we do get a buyback in the 3340s, if we're bullish above, watch 3370s next and 3386. Amazon is always interesting. Okay, move over to Microsoft. Microsoft. Okay, so if we're looking, saw this, look at the candle structure. You still got to flare into the 244.70s, right? But that's not something that would mean anything to me. What would though is, let's see, back above, cool, a push back through here. So when you saw this sell through, and this is when you're just looking at the candles, and this is on the 4-hour. So we did back test here, double taps into the 249s, rejected, went lower. What we didn't do though was go lower than the 245.80s initially. Even though we had this flare down here to the 244.70s, we never saw bearish continuation below this first wave down. This is sort of a higher high, higher low, I mean, right here. Then we made a higher high here. Once we broke through the 249s, 249.40s to be exact, once we broke through there, now on this back test here, we have a different setup, and this is now being used as a trampoline. Look here. Look at these wicks all around these 249.40s. So, what to watch for now? Let's see on Monday if the 251.90s hold and we get a push back up into the 253s. That would be interesting. Maybe even the 254s. If not, if we dip below this area, the 251.90s, I would keep an eye out for a potential fade into the 249.40s on Microsoft. Head on over to Apple. So Apple is don't know kind of what we rejected here. Big sell candle. Try to get us back above it. Pull back, held the 127s. Tested the 131. Super rangy. But on the intraday, it doesn't move how it looks on the 4 hour. It moves a lot slower. So watching Apple, you see this area here. So looking back at it, I would watch for a buy over the 131s. And if we get over the 131.70s, then you look for a squeeze into the 134.20s, right? Watch for this hitch here to see if we get a pause of some sort right around the 133.04. You can mark that if you'd like to. Excuse me. But if we cannot get back over the 131s, then I would look for a dip, first hitch, 130.22, then for a drop down to the 127.40s and maybe lower. But with everything opening back up, I'm not really expecting, unless there's new news about COVID, I'm not really expecting that all these different stores are going to start shutting back down, right? So as we're opening up, we should see a rise in consumer business, consumer action, consumer spending, and this should rise up. I mean, not just this should rise, but things like Apple, they should be experiencing more customer interaction as far as at their stores, and they should be seeing more sales, in my opinion. So we'll see. So we'll see if we get over 131.70s. Then if that happens and we're bullish above, then watch for a push into 134.20s. If we are bearish below, watch for a drop, first hitch 130s. Remember what I said earlier, then 127.40s. And then see what we do here. Just watch the candles, right? On the lower time frame, just watch the candles and whatever strategy that you're using. It's one thing to have a strategy, right? That's sort of what we're talking about here. That shows you the supply demand areas, which is areas where you can expect the buyers and sellers to disagree. It's something else to have an area and a strategy for entry. Knowing where something may happen and knowing when to enter are two totally different things. Unless you're a swing trader and you've got more time, and you for let me give you for example, the way some people use the supply demand setups is that they wait for a pullback here to the 131.75. They're already long. First touch, they're long, right? They're already long. And on this push up here, they'd be out. So every touch of into this area near this line within 50 cents to $1, they'd be long, right? Every time they'd be long, every time, right? But one of those times, it's going to do this. And what do? You get the heck out. Or what some people do, I don't recommend, but they do. They hold and they wait for the next level and they average 2 down here. And on any pullback, they'll exit. And then from that point on, they'll probably be a little bit above break even. But my problem with that is, what if you get a flush, right? What you don't want is a strategy that allows you to get washed out, to wash out multiple days of green days with one red day. You don't want that. You don't want a strategy that allows that to happen. So my risk management wouldn't really allow, for me personally, if I did bought this, which I wouldn't on just a sell through candle, unless there's some sort of setup that told me that there's a strong probability that they're going to buy it back up from that level. If I see something there, then yes, maybe I'll put something in. But usually, no. I want to follow the trend. Whichever direction the trend is going, I want to be there. So watch those levels on Apple. Head on over to the Book of Faces. I don't think I even drew the. I guess I did pop some lines in here. That's interesting. Can't even remember. Okay, cool. So what we see is this was on the 4th. Buyers pushing us up here. And then we came back, retested the 313s again. And this is on the 6th, right? And then that pushed us up into the 321s, from 313 to 321s. Look at this flare up and the rejection. What's the expectation now? Well, personally, I would like to see a retrace back to the 313s. We'll see if that happens. If we are bullish above 321.70s, bullish meaning let's see, something like this, right? This is bullish above to me. Higher high, higher low candles on this push up. So we'll see if we see that above the 321.70s. If not, watch for a potential negative drift to the 313.18s. We'll see how that plays out on Facebook. I think they have some things going on with the board having some words with Zuck, but we'll see how this plays out in the market. And so I'd watch those levels. If we get below 313.80, watch for the 307.94, then 303.96 and 297.19s. If we continue to go up and we push above the 321s, then that'll open up the 330.80s for us right here. Actually, let me go. I'll go back. Okay, so looking at NVIDIA, nice reversal here. That's older stuff. Let's go keep it current. We like this. Personally, I'm going to watch this because for me, and something like NVIDIA, I'll do like a options play, like a swing play or something like that. And where it is right now, I'm going to do a nothing play. I would rather see what we do around the 613s, or if we get below the 589s, look for a setup there for maybe a dip here into this area here around the 575. Was it 575 to the 578s, right? So that's what I'd rather look for here. Either below 589s, look for a drop into the lower 580s, upper 570s, or a push into the 613s and see what the buyers and sellers decide here. Above, we could have a potential extension in the 627s. And if we reject here and we sell down, you would wait for a dip into the 605s and see if the buyers step in there and maybe lower. That's what I'll be watching for on NVIDIA. Okay, did I miss something on, let me see. Did I miss something on Netflix? I don't think I missed. Okay. So let's talk about Netflix. So if you remember, on Netflix, what we were watching was this, right? This is what we were watching. This here. The and that's sort of where we were buying up into this 514, right? This 5 teens, right? And we have a flare above, but what ends up happening is we end up going back through the support area around the 503s and dip it down to the 493s. I changed this line from that white line I usually use to this, right? So it's out of this little channel. But what do we end up doing? Going right back inside the channel. So what would I expect here? There is a possibility that we could extend to the top of this channel around this 514-ish area. But we have to wait to see. What we would need to see on Monday is bullish above this area, this 504.87. You want to be bullish above that, and then you want to see what happens when we get into the 506.80s. So technically, you might, for me, I'm like, oh, maybe I catch like a $2 move in between there, And so I look for a setup that would optimize that movement above the 404s. I mean, the 504.80s into the 507.60s. That's what I will be looking for. That's just me, right? And if it happens to get beyond that, like I'd scale here, and then I'd have a stop on any pullback below the 505s. I would be OUT out, right? So, and it may be even it might be the 505.50s into the 506s, maybe what I'm watching if I got this extension up into here, right? I would be watching like $1 below this. I'd be OUT on that option. I'll cut it. I'll cut that bad boy. But we'll see what happens. At some point, we're going to see, and make a note of this, we're going to see bullish above 514s or bearish below 493. We'll see when that happens. When that happens, look for an extension of 15 to 30 points in the other in that direction. So that's what I'll be looking for. So if we were below 493 and I'm seeing bearish action, I'm not looking for a buy at the 490s or 485. I'm looking down here, maybe even the 475s, and maybe we sell to that. We'll see how that plays out, right? Last time reversal was where? Right here, the 493s. So if we get above this 514 area, I'm looking for an extension to the 529s. We'll see how that plays out on Netflix. Go to JPM, and this was added. I think it's Michael that mentioned this stock, and you know, if you watch our levels, this is so sweet. So bullish above the 154.70s, push through the 156s, holds that level, and then we leg into the 160s. Beautiful stock, beautiful movement. This is more movement than what I'm used to on JPM. So we'll see if we continue, if we're able to break this top or if we retrace. I'll actually be keeping an eye on this for next week. So what I'd watch for is, do we break these 161s, this area, and do we go higher? If we do, that could be interesting long. If we reject here, will we retrace the 156s? That's interesting short. I'm watching both things, seeing which one happens, which one shows up on the intraday lower time frame chart, which one sort of gives me the gives me some sort of an edge as to which direction this thing may go. So I'll be watching for that. And let's keep it moving. Let's go to Goldman. Goldman going nuts, and it's one of those tickers that has so much range. When you get in, you kind of got to let it move a little bit. Got to let it shake, rattle, and roll. My expectation is that this will go down. I will not preempt or guess. I will not get short until I see this thing truly break down. Here's an area you could have gotten short. This thing tends to move in waves. I'll wait. This is a nice buy up, nice squeeze here. There's a lot of news circulating about monetary policy and what the federal government should do and what they are doing and their plans. Like it's a lot going. It's a lot around that, right? So we'll see how banks react to that. But for me, I'm not a chaser. So because this is not retracement here so far, I will be watching pivots for an intraday entry. I do like Goldman Sachs quite a bit. A retrace through the 367s. I'll watch for the 362s to open up, potentially the 356s. And if we go back through that, then I'll be watching the 347.90s and the 344.80s. You'd be like, oh, that's not realistic, right? Cool. Here, 356, we retraced through where? 347s, 344s, 337s, 330s, into the 319s, right? Once we bottomed there and we bought back up, look at the path that we took back to the upside. So I'm going to be watching Goldman Sachs. It does tend to move. It does tend to have range. And I like the way that it moves. And I'll see if I can catch a few trades on this upcoming week. But watch those levels and watch this candle structure. I don't. Let me take a peek at CMG. No, I'm not going to go CMG. I'm going to go Intel. And that will be where we stop. Okay. So Intel, let me scrunch this up. I want you to see all this, right? This little blue area is a channel area, right? That it went through, that it sort of spent some time in previously. So we're pulling back. We stopped above the 55.71. So look at this decline. All the back tests we're selling, right? So the question someone would ask, right? Potentially, if you're just looking at this stock, is do I get long because it stopped inside this channel and it's above 55.70s? Well, and you can. Me personally, I'm waiting for a back test. So I want a break and back test, and I could play the back test. So if this back test 56.90s, that may be a good area to get long off of, but preferably a push into the 58s and through and back test, but over the 60.90s. This is like one of those stair step type of tickers, and the way that Intel moves, um, it's not as fast usually as some of those bigger blue chippers, and not bigger, just bigger as far as price, right? And how they move, how Facebook moves, and Netflix and NVIDIA, but Intel can move. So keep an eye on this. We want to see if we're now flipped to the bullish side and the investors in Intel feel that there's value here and they feel really comfortable owning right around this area and buying it back up through here. That will, help the ticker to rise if that's the case. I think my SPY. Yep, pop right back through the top. That's nice. So if you're watching the SPY, you watch this hold the 412.15s, push up. And right now we're at the 422.40s. We'll see how much further we go before we retrace this, maybe bullish and squeeze. A lot of the bulls, people that are very bullish on the market, are expecting a massive run before a sell later in the year. We'll see how that works out. For me, if we don't back test the 420s and we continue to go, I'm using pivots because I don't have anything up there to use for retracement trading. Be careful, manage your risk. If we pull back to the 420s, look for buyers to step in. If you're using volume to find that, if you're using some sort of EMAs to figure that out, whatever you're using to figure that out, wait for the buyers to step in, candle structure to change, and then wait for us to move to the upside, right? You can look at any pullback, any deep pullback. What you watch for is for the sellers to begin to step out and the buyers to begin to step in. And that's usually when something begins to move in another direction, right? So we have to wait to see what next week looks like. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to shoot me an email or DM me. If you like that video, if it was helpful to you, please don't hesitate to tap the like button. And if you'd like to receive more content like this, please subscribe to our channel, Power of Pivots on YouTube, where you can look forward to not just receiving videos from me, but videos from Elisa as she discusses how she utilizes her power of pivot strategy to find great pre-market entries, great intraday trades, great post-market trades, and swing trades. Thank you so much for your time. Super busy over here. We have a lot of great things happening. Definitely a very exciting time for us. For all those that are really struggling right now, just hold on, right? Just hold on, because just do your best to persevere and push through, and you will find what works for you. What allows you to find joy. And for some, it's not in the market. There's so many different things that we all can do that we're all really good at, and find your thing. If it's the market, and I can help you, or Elisa can help. If we can help you in some way, just reach out to us and let us know. If it's something else, then find people that are doing well in those areas or giving great advice in those areas, and really get into that community and just find ways that you can contribute and ways that you can grow. Wishing you all well. Please stay safe and have a wonderful week of trading. Talk to you soon.